I'd like to start off by congratulating Stacy Terry and our women's team for a 2-0 week and a 5-2 start. Great start for the women's program. And also Rocky Long and our football program for being invited and playing in the Armed Forces Bowl. I know they'll represent us well. As for Aztec men's basketball, it's time to get to work. We have some actual time to practice leading into the Cal game on Saturday, so we'll go a good hard practice today. Over 2.5 hour practice and try to start correcting a few things we couldn't do while we played 5 games in 11 days. So the next 2 weeks is pivotal to our season, and we have to put the work in practice in order to see that result on the game floor. So we're going to work real hard in practice leading into the Cal game, and then obviously once that's over, leading into Gonzaga, which will finish up our non-conference schedule. So it's time to get to work.
Coach, you mentioned the other night turnovers. I think it's 17, 16 in the last 2 games. You're averaging 13. How do you reduce turnovers, and how can you do that through practice?
One would be getting Trey back. You get a senior guard out there instead of some freshmen that are still going through their first-time experience in a lot of these games, and your veterans take better care of the ball. With that being said, Devin had 4 the last game, which is atypical for him. He's not a high turnover guy. 3-to-1 assist to turnovers, and so Devin's just got to do a little better job managing the game like he did at USD. But you're going to have a game like that every so often, and when you're ahead like we were, sometimes you try to make too many plays. It's just going a little too easy, and maybe you just slide back a little bit concentration-wise with a 25, 26-point lead and get a little careless. So hopefully we can get some of that corrected this week.
What else is on your to-do list?
Playing after the set play. I mean, I really like our set plays right now. I think they're giving us the spacing and looks we want, but when we don't get a shot, what's next? Sometimes I feel like they stand up there and kind of hold the ball and wonder what they should be doing next, and we're going to clean some of that up this week as to flowing into something out of the set play, whether it's a quick ball screen, a handoff. We'll set them in those positions in order to get some reps at that so we flow a little better once the set play's done.
Brian, shooting percentage is up and obviously better. 3-point shooting's not. Are you surprised?
I think we shoot the ball pretty good, Lee. I'm not overly concerned with that. Maybe the fact that our best 3-point shooter, Max Montana, has only played in 2 games. I know everyone knows at Arizona State he hit 4 threes in the first half. So I think he adds a dynamic shooting-wise that when he's not in there, it shows sometimes. With that being said, Trey being out for 2 games, he's improved his shooting vastly, and so I think as we get guys back in the lineup and we start getting looks like Jeremy, I think is capable of shooting better than he is, and he's worked at it hard. So I'm not overly concerned with our 3-point shooting right now. I think as the season goes on, that percentage will go up.
If you had a chance to look at Cal and figure out kind of a weird team, and they're up, 18 against a really good Wichita State team, and they lost by 24 to Chaminade, Division II team.
Yeah, I've just looked at Cal's scores. I really haven't had a chance to watch them a lot. I'll start that tonight. Our assistants are already into that, but we won't do anything for Cal for a day or two. This is our time to try to get ourselves better, and then we'll do a 2-day prep for Cal leading into the game. So probably on the practice floor. Sometimes when we have a game, we might subtly do a defensive drill. They'll get ready for Cal without saying it's Cal. But right now, I think today we're going to try to improve ourselves a little bit at the offensive end. Get our timing down on some things, and defensively just do a couple breakdown things. And then as we get into later in the week, we'll start our Cal prep. Because obviously they've proven, you know how good Wichita State is, and to be up 18 on Wichita State, that doesn't just happen. So they've played in spurts. They've got a new coaching staff. Wykeen is a very good coach, and I know he's working to get the team improved, and I think you'll see an improved Cal team as the season goes on.
Do you think they know you've been using the zone defense a little bit?
I think as they watch tape, they'll see it. So obviously we have been using more zone, and I thought it worked good. We jumped into it the second half against Bradley because they switched their starting lineup. They wanted to play a more aggressive driving team to start the second half, and they took their shooters out, and so right before we went out, Justin said, or someone said, why don't we start zone? I said, let's do it. Let's go into the zone right away to start the second half. And I think it disrupted them, and we went on another spurt. You know, they had their drivers in. I think they wanted to get downhill and drive to the basket, and once you go zone, then it forces them to look at the three-point shot and some other ways to score. So I thought it was a good way to start the second half for us against Bradley.
Brian, when you look around the conference, Vegas lost by 3 to Arizona, and I think the upper echelon of the conference is a combined 42-9. Pretty surprised how many good teams there are, at least out of the gate, or is it too early because you're playing a bunch of non-conference guys?
You know, the conference has done very well. You know, I think last week with Boise's win at Oregon, ending their home streak, and Colorado State going into Colorado and winning. You know, I thought Marvin Menzies at UNLV could have and should have beaten Arizona. I thought they were the better team, but Arizona got the win, and, you know, Marvin's done a great job there. So I think the Mountain West is much improved, and we've got another 2 weeks to build our non-conference resume. I know that Nevada, I think, who is ranked this week, has games with Texas Tech and TCU. So they can build an extremely strong resume. I think both on the road, maybe one road, one neutral. If they get those, then, I mean, I think you could almost consider them a tournament team at this point. So we've got, the conference has definitely played better, and we have a couple opportunities. Obviously with Cal and Gonzaga, we've got opportunities. So a lot will happen over the next 2 weeks as to where we're positioned going into our conference schedule.
Is there a little bit of an extra motivation like going against Cal, just because after the Arizona State game and then the Washington State game, you know, to take down the Pac-12?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still smarting over Washington State. You know, I feel as if, you know, that was a game we could have and should have had, but to their credit, they made open shots. They played great off ball screens and exploited us. And obviously not having Malik in the second half and Trey getting hurt with 5-point lead, I don't know, with 6 minutes to go, something like that, didn't allow us to finish with our young kids. But yeah, we want to get a win over a Pac-12 team, and I think we've got a 2-game win streak on Cal right now. You know, one at our place, one on a neutral, and or at their place in a neutral. So we're looking to, you know, build on that, obviously.
Is Cameron extra excited for this matchup?
I haven't talked to him yet since we had a day off, but I'm sure he'll be excited to go against his old team and teammates. So I'd imagine, you know, we'll have to make sure he's not too emotionally charged, that he's playing with controlled emotion. But it'll be emotional for him, no question.
About 10 games into the season, do you feel you have a finger on the pulse of this particular team? Because every year, every team has a different chemistry, different way that they bond and play together. Do you feel as a coach that you have your finger on the pulse of this team right now?
You know, the interesting thing with this team, even though we're 7-2, I don't feel like I know my team yet because I haven't had all my pieces. You know, with Trey missing the last 2 games, Max Montana missing 5 games or so, you know, these are guys that I would say would be in at the end of close games. And, you know, not to have them out there right now, you know, so no, I don't know my team completely yet because I haven't had my team, you know, with injuries and stuff like that. I'm real pleased with the guys that have been out there. But I think moving forward as we get into the conference, we know the games are going to be closer. You know, I'd like to, over the next 2 weeks, get my team together. You know, get Trey back and healthy, get Max out there in game shape, and see what we are when we have all our pieces.
What are the injury updates on those guys?
Max is a full go, so, you know, I played him a couple minutes. It was probably unfair to him against Bradley because he really had only practiced 1 day in 2.5 weeks. But I wanted to get him a little game feel. But so this is big for him this week to get his legs back underneath him, get his game timing back. I think Trey's going to continue just to rehab. I don't think he'll practice today or tomorrow. You know, we'll continue the healing process and the treatment and the rehab, and hopefully he'll be ready for Cal. But there's no guarantee of that. It's kind of day to day and see how he's feeling and how he responds to treatment.
Did you get on his ankle? Did you get sort of a ballpark when he did it? I mean, 2 week, 3 week, or was it too hard to determine that?
I think it was too hard to determine. You know, I think, you know, it wasn't an upper ankle sprain. You know, he definitely stepped on a foot and rolled it. You know, and I honestly thought he would play against USD. I thought he'd go at about 60% and go out there. But, you know, the fine line is you're trying to win games, but you're trying not to cost yourself a season by rushing a guy back and having him get, you know, hurt more by playing on something that he shouldn't be on. And so I leave that to Trey and Sergio. You know, if he's ready to play, then I'm ready to play him. But if he's not, then I like I said, what better guy to put in his place than Jeremy Hemsley, a 2-year starter? So I feel like I've got depth there, and so it's not, you know, obviously I'd like to have Trey in there, but I've got pieces when he can't go and he can't be 100% to put in there.
Just to follow up on that injury status, is it fair to say that as the season goes along, there's more pressure or more possibility that the player may play hurt as the games get in the league and trying to make the postseason?
Yeah, that's always the fine line in coaching. You always hear, we don't want to play, you know, you might have to play with some pain, but we don't want you playing injured. You know, so as it goes on, you know, we let the trainers and the players decide, you know, is there a risk of doing more damage? Then we don't want to play them. But are they going to have to play with some pain at some point in the season? Yeah, obviously. And like I said, would Trey have played? Would he have taped it up and done a Willis Reed if it was the conference championship? Yeah, he might have tried to roll out there and give us 2 or 3 minutes. And I told him, just stay on the exercise bike, you know. You know, I might need you. You know, don't put your boot on today. Just get on the exercise bike. And he asked me what would be the circumstances. I said if I get another guy hurt and a guy fouled out, you know, if I need an emotional lift, or if I need a shot at the very end of the game for 30 seconds, I can put you in there, you can make 1 shot. So I wanted him sitting there thinking, maybe, you know, I probably knew I wasn't going to use him, but I wanted him thinking the game, like watching it like he might get in, instead of just sitting there with a boot on being a cheerleader. I wanted him on the exercise bike. I wanted him sitting there like, I got to pay really close attention because I might go in for 30 seconds. So I think it was probably good for him mentally just to sit there thinking that I had that in the back of my mind.
Are you pleased with the step that defense has taken since the Arizona State game?
Yeah, even Arizona State, you know, they're just really good offensively. So I don't think it was a disaster the way we played there. We obviously could have played better and maybe should have. But yeah, we're getting better defensively. You know, and sometimes it's, as much as we preach and talk, you know, sometimes you have to go through the experiences and watch it on tape. You know, and so the kids come in, they watch tape, we watch it as a team, and we see in areas we have to get better. And so that's what we are. We're coaches, we're teachers. So we're teaching all the time, and so we have stuff to teach to once we start playing games. We can watch the tape, we can put it on, and show them where we're deficient and what we have to get better at. And to their credit, they've responded to all that. And sometimes the message is an arm around them. Sometimes it's a little bit more abrasive, jumping on them. So we're delivering that message in the way we think it needs to be delivered, and I think we're getting better.
Jeremy seems like he's picked it up in the last couple of games.
Yeah, Jeremy's playing better. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you're not making shots and you think, well, I got to work harder on my offense. Sometimes it's just a matter of saying, let me be more involved defensively and don't worry about the offense. Let me try to stop that other point guard, which he's done a great job of 2 straight weeks or 2 straight games, you know, at USD, and followed up with Bradley, their best player and most instrumental player is their point guard. And Jeremy's ridden them over ball screens. He's disrupted. And so you can feel good about yourself at one end, and then it relieves the tension at the other end. You know, sometimes it's just a matter of saying, let me pick my defense up, and then things start to fall together. And I think that's a perfect example of what's happened to Jeremy.